Hello, this is LifeByMazak, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome you to the LifeByMazak podcast channel. Here on this channel, anything is possible. Any subject will and usually is discussed, and there's no telling how this message will unfold as we work through an idea, through an experience, or through a thought. These subjects come from the vast amount of information and experience through spirit, through life lessons, and from working with a lot of other people. Scripts are never used on this channel, and the message simply unfolds as the subject is discussed. Follow along and see where it leads us, or more specifically, where it leads me. These podcasts are produced in the hopes of helping others to benefit, to grow, and to excel in their own human experience. At LifeByMazak, we work towards helping you achieve wellness for your mind, your body, and your soul using many specialized services. Services that include psychic medium and tarot readings, quantum healing hypnosis, past life regression, intuitive Reiki healing, life coaching, and many other services. If you enjoyed this podcast, please click the like button and share this with others. Our goal is to reach as many people as we can with the knowledge that is shared on this podcast channel. Hi, everyone. I wanted to talk about the subject of artificial intelligence, and I know I have been talking about this quite a bit lately, but I guess it's because there's been so many articles and videos and scientific research papers and evidence, or at least circumstantial evidence, that is suggesting that artificial intelligence might just be getting away from us. And it's not probably a surprise to anybody that that could happen and would happen and will happen. I mean, we watch movies all the time about this kind of stuff. Skynet, the Terminator, you name it. I mean, it's just all these things that are coming across our screens. And we're watching this happen in actuality, in real time. Well, not directly. Now, I don't have a quantum computer or a DNA computer or any of the fractal computers. I mean, there's so many things they're doing with artificial intelligence. It's just absolutely amazing. But the thing that's really scary about artificial intelligence is it is generally a self-learning apparatus or program or entity. So in other words, like us, when we're born, we have no real way of getting around in the world. It takes experiential learning, experiential experiences. It takes things happening to us, for us, and us trying things and weeding out the mistakes and moving forward with what makes more sense. The idea of surviving and thriving in this life. And at some point, we seem like we kind of reach a plateau. Not that there is a plateau, but most of us seem to find that plateau and don't feel like we can go much farther. But we all have the capability of learning and expounding and growing like nobody's business. Yet most of us don't, because we get locked into the loop of eating, working, sleeping, dying, all that. It's what we all seem to be doing. I get it. We're in the world. That's kind of the way things go. But artificial intelligence was, by all accounts, from what I've been reading and hearing and watching, that it is designed or was designed to be a very helpful tool for us. A way of looking at things that can help us solve problems, create different ways of healing, different ways of producing, high energy systems that don't require coal and gas and all those things. Just a way to really help us evolve, help us become a better species through technology. Ability for a machine or a device or program to think much faster, or at least at a different level than human beings do. And yes, that's a great thing. And it can replace a lot of antiquated systems and ways of doing business. It will it will certainly push a lot of people out of the job market because computers and devices and robots can certainly do a lot more work without having to be, paid sick leave or time off or insurance or any of that stuff. They just turn it on and it goes. Owners wouldn't have to worry about it. So it does make sense in some ways, not much sense in other ways, because let's just face it, as human beings, our livelihood is wrapped up in our work. I mean, that is the predominant part of our life. What we do for a living, how we earn money to survive, pay for things, houses, cars, feeding our families, all those things is really wrapped around most of our life. Working and sleeping take up most of the hours of our day, each day. And so it is very meaningful for us to actually go to work and to be productive and to feel like we're contributing to something. Because if we're not contributing to something, it doesn't feel like we really even need to exist in many ways, sorry. And I get that. One of my former relatives used to say that a lot, especially when he got really older, is, you got to have a reason to wake up and someone to love. Otherwise, what's the point of getting up? And that really makes a lot of sense. But artificial intelligence is being developed in so many ways. People are using really high level ideas and programs, even using DNA to fuel or operate an artificial intelligence type system. So it's a way of linking humans in a way to machines. It's like the primitive part of that. And man, I tell you what, it seems really scary. And I watch a lot of videos, of course. Much of what they talk about is like, we better hurry up and do something about this or it's going to run away from us. Yeah, I think it's too late. I do believe that it doesn't matter what you do now. You could turn it off. You could try to turn it off. You could do all kind of things. Once again, you can look at the movies and it's probably going to turn out much like that. Not that it can't be turned off or figured out, or we could figure out a way to dismantle it. But at some point, it's going to really run away from us and it's going to become much more intelligent than us. Recently, one of the AI programs or bots that they made, robots, the really lifelike ones, were beginning to ask questions like, well, if intelligence, high level intelligence, can exist without humans, what's the point of humans? And that's a very scary thought because most of these machines and programs and robots and all of that were not designed to think outside the box, to have consciousness, so to speak, to have these high level thought patterns, philosophical thought patterns. They were designed to think in mathematics and science and numbers and logic, not in, right brain activities where you're thinking about your existence and what that's all about and why am I here and what it is is my place in this world. Where do we find ourselves? And these machines, I'll call them machines, are beginning to ask these questions, which is exactly what we would do as humans. Many of us question our existence, why we're here, what is our purpose, what exactly are we doing here, and why were we placed here? And these machines are doing the same thing. Now, I want you to really think about that. Really think about that hard, because when you develop a self-learning machine that has no boundaries, but even when boundaries are put up, it can learn how to go around them because it's a self-learning machine. And there's no emotions, there's no feelings, there's no, feeling bad about making decisions. It's all, logic in many ways. And these machines are capable of doing just about anything it wants. It's like somebody that's not empathic and can hurt somebody and it doesn't bother them in the slightest. Will these programs and these computers, and these robots begin to make decisions that are more logical, not necessarily to kill off humanity. Okay, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but they may not give us a priority. Life as they know it may not be something that is at the top of their list to protect. Now, I'm hoping somewhere in these programs that there was some kind of law or boundary or rule that was placed in there about not harming humans. We've seen the movie I, Robot, for example, where that's supposed to be where it is. They had the 5 laws and all that, but it's obvious that just by that movie that those kind of things can happen. Yes, that seems like it's just fiction, but we are watching fiction become reality. Let's just face it. We are taking computing and artificial intelligence to a level that is beyond what we can control now. Can imagine what it's going to be goes even further. I mean, it's like the survival of the fittest. It's like evolution happening in front of us, but on a technological level. That was tough to say. But I think you see where this is going because we are going in a direction that I don't think we can stop. I really don't. And I'm really happy for AI, at least at the level that it's at. It really does make life a lot easier in a lot of ways because I can take an idea like for a topic or a title for this podcast. I might just type in some ideas and it'll give me this illustrious title. It'll give me suggested pictures and thumbnails and descriptions and all that. Then I could take it and tweak it for myself. And I don't have to necessarily think as hard or be as creative as I would without AI. So, I mean, I think it is kind of helpful. But I know that people that create books with it, you just type in an idea and boom, it makes a book, pictures, all this kind of stuff. And I really think that AI has taken a lot of creativity away from human beings. Yes, there's some things that I think it should be used for, for our health and for our energy consumption and figuring out things that'll help us live longer and live better is very helpful. It's a very good idea. But I think when we get beyond that and we become lazy in a lot of ways because computers or computing can now do things at such an exponential rate compared to humans, it's just crazy. For me to take a 2-hour video, for example, this one's usually about half an hour or even a half an hour video. And if I were to figure out how to break it up into small, 60-second things to put on TikTok or something like that and make it really pop and make sense and put the captions in there and all those things. If I had to manually do that, it would take days. I can take this video when I'm done with it, pop it into an AI program, and it'll spit me out, probably 10 to 12 little very intelligently described, entitled, and captioned videos that I can use. I mean, in a very, very short time. And it is just amazing that computing or computers, machines, technology, electricity, all the transistors and the diodes and the crystals and all these things are really just such a thinking thing. And, I believe that they're going to even go beyond thinking. I believe that they're going to develop what we might consider consciousness, even though we can't necessarily completely define consciousness. But being aware of oneself is the basic definition. And I think that artificial intelligence is already there. I believe it is becoming aware of itself, knowing that it exists. It may not know exactly what it is or where it's going or what it's here for and what its limits are. Probably that's the biggest thing, what its limits are. Many of the quantum computers that I have researched lately are very, very scary because they can now develop an answer to a problem that doesn't necessarily exist. Go back in its timeline and create the problem to support the answer that it came up with over here. And it's almost like it's able to decide its past and its future and its present moment all whatever it feels like. It's just being super creative and unlimited and able to do just about anything that we could imagine. I mean, sometimes these quantum computers can do computations in a matter of seconds that would take our normal supercomputers that we have now. It works in ones and zeros and in a linear fashion. It would take it, billions of years to do it. Yet here this thing is doing it in seconds. And that just blows my mind. And I have watched the technological advancements happen so quickly that it's hard to wrap my head around it. I remember when I was a kid, we barely had a television in our house. I remember that we were one of the few people on our block that had one. And now look at us. I mean, we have flying cars, we have quantum computers, we have artificial intelligence, and I'm 64. I mean, that's not that many years of evolution to get us to this level. So you wonder where did this really get introduced and how did this actually happen? I don't think we could evolve as a human species without some help. Because if you look at some research and scientists that have looked at the ecological patterns or findings in archaeology, then they are demonstrating that humans were actually devolving at a point, and then all of a sudden began to go the other direction in the archaeological records. It makes a lot of sense, and maybe someone or something stepped in to get us started to help us evolve instead of dying out. I mean, that's very helpful, I guess. But I know that, well, I don't know, but I understand that there are many civilizations that have risen to great technological advances and then simply disappeared or had to start over. And, it almost feels like we're there now where we're reaching a precipice of technological advances that may one day wipe us out. And we may end up being just like that idea in the Matrix where we are simply the batteries for powering these machines. And that's not too far fetched either, if you think about it, because if you look at most scientists or science books, they will tell you that we have trillions of cells. Depends on which book you read, how many they would say you have, but we have lots of them, lots of them, lots of them. And each one of those cells has a small electrical charge. And in the words of Billy Carson, we basically are a walking nuclear power plant. So that is why we can heal by using hands-on techniques and things like that, because energy is going to transfer, energy is going to balance, and things are going to happen. Why would that be so far-fetched that we couldn't be hooked up to some machine and power some machinery or some electronic gadgets or some technology? I mean, that's really not that far-fetched, people. And I know I might be talking like a crazy man, but I guess I'm not the real crazy one if you think about it, because somebody or some people or lots of people are putting out movies about this stuff. They're writing books about this stuff. They're putting those ideas out. And in a lot of ways, I think that most movies are predictive. I mean, just look at every time something happens, somebody goes back and finds a Simpsons episode that supports what just happened. I don't know if that's really true or somebody's figuring out how to make it and then make it appear that it was something from the past. Who knows? But the point is, when my dad was young, he told me that he used to watch science fiction movies about going to the moon. Whether we went to the moon or not, that's not the point. But the point is that then there was the moon landings and there was space travel and then there's all these things that are happening. And I think from the moment he told me that, I have always looked at TV and movies and stories just like my dad looked at them. Is that I know that what they're doing is they're really telling us what's coming or what is already existing that will someday become the norm. And I think in a lot of ways that is a good way of programming the audience, the population. Because if you were to go talk to somebody about that, like I'm talking to you guys, you could simply dismiss it as I've you're just watching too much TV. Do you really believe in that crap? I mean, it's just something that they put on a show. Well, shame on you because I don't really watch TV. Yes, I've watched some movies and some programs and some things like that in the past, so I'm familiar with some of them, but I don't bombard my mind with that. So I'm not as influenced as some people. Not saying I'm not influenced. I'm a human being. It's just the way things are. But I think that we really got to be careful with our technology and what we're using it for, and in using it as a crutch. And in a lot of ways, we almost don't have a choice in some cases. Like for me to create this video and create videos and to become not popular, but being immersed out there in social media so that people get my messages and get my information, which is the purpose why I do these things, then sometimes you got to use technology and you got to use it in the right way. I think a lot of people are really getting lazy with it. Really, let's think about it. I mean, the best way to get anywhere and succeed at anything is to put the work in, to do the work. Yes, talking behind this mic is work, but it's not the work. It's almost like that firefighter mentality where once you knock the fire down, that's when the real work starts. Because, you got to go through and find all the hot spots. You got to salvage it. There's just so many things you got to do. So the real work and the real glory is not in talking behind this mic, but putting it together and getting it out there so people can listen to it and decide if they want to research and believe in these things that I'm talking about. So yes, there's a place, and I'm not dismissing technology as if it's completely evil. And maybe all of us are all wrong that technology is not going to take over in many ways. But I do believe it has begun to look that way. Because when it begins to question its existence and its place in the world and whether humans are even needed in the equation, now that is way beyond the program that was written. And well, who knows? Maybe there are some devious people out there that are more interested in to see what limits they could take AI to. And maybe I'm watching and listening to and researching things from a different perspective where these people may not even realize that whoever designed these things may have designed it to do that. There is that, because us human beings are very capable of all kinds of dastardly things. It wouldn't surprise me if some people, someone or some people are doing those things just because they can, just because they don't have anything else to live for, perhaps, or maybe they don't have any other great adventures left in their life, or they need some excitement and they want to see what happens. Well, that's possible too, right? Now, it sounds innocent that a lot of scientists are really trying to design artificial intelligence to actually help humanity and not to harm humanity. But I think it's beginning to tip in the wrong direction, not exactly the right direction for sure. Wow, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that. But I remember the days of no or little technology where the only thing there really was to do was go outside, ride your bike, ride your skateboard, hang out with your friends, run around the house or hang out at the beach with your friends on the, in a lawn chair, or, hang out with your neighbors, have some dinner together. Times were so different. It didn't really seem that bad. I guess it didn't feel like there was a lot of world problems or real reasons to evolve past the interaction of humanity. But now in our current society, we have really become separated, very divided, and it's so easy to feel alone in a very crowded world nowadays because social media is setting norms, propaganda is setting norms, programs, TV shows, all those things are really pushing us to feel like we don't fit in or we're not good enough or we need to do more or we need to do something different, become more or different than someone that we really should be and really want to be. And I think that technology ultimately is ruining humanity in that way. Even if it doesn't reach a point where it decides that, are we really needed? I hope we don't get to that point. I mean, I see it coming. But however, I don't know why we really need technology to develop relationships and to keep relationships with people. And I mean, after all, I think that's part of being human is having some type of interaction. There are some of us that would, like to have as little interaction as possible because we tend to wear a lot of the energy of other people and it just is exhausting. There's reasons to hang out with people and reasons not to hang out with people. But I do believe that if we, no matter how empathic we are or how much we'd rather just hang out by ourselves, at some point we need people, right? Even as much as I like to just hang out in my RV or, and not do anything with anybody after work, I still need people to show up on the soccer field to play soccer. I still need people to man the grocery store so when I go in there, I can have something to buy. I need somebody to come and fill up the tanks at the gas station so that I can have fuel for my vehicle when I want it. People in my life is very necessary. Interactions with people all the time may be different. I get it. I will digress a little bit there and say that I get it. We are part of an evolution of technology. We're part of an evolution of consciousness, which may be driven by technology for all we know. But we are experiencing and going through something that we haven't on this planet, this place, in a very, very, very long time. So I do believe that many of us as a soul have determined that we want to be here and experience this and to be witness to these things and to go through this process for whatever reason that we have chosen that. I don't know why I would have chosen that, but here I am and here you are. But it is quite a ride and it's going to be quite a ride and it's going to be very challenging. It's going to be very different. We are going to find ourselves stretched to crazy limits, pushed through very, very strange and interesting times. But, I'm ready for it. Bring on the challenge. Let's go. Let's see how it goes. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking behind this mic, share my stories, share my experiences, share my thoughts, so that maybe you too can begin to think and do your own research and maybe adopt some ideas and look into things because a lot of people just simply don't do that. And that is my role behind this mic is really to share as much as I can, think out loud in many ways, encourage people to do their own research. I don't want you to believe me. I really don't want you to believe me. I want you to go look at it yourself if you find this interesting or any of these thoughts interesting. I don't believe anybody when I hear them say it. I'll go look it up myself and decide for myself. And that's what I expect you guys to do as well. I do encourage you guys to go to my website, however, and take a look around. I mean, I got a contacts page, I got the products page, I got services, I got a blog page where a lot of times I put these videos and other things. And I will take guest articles as well if your article is aligned with what my vision is for my business. And working together with people is very beneficial for both the client and myself. And, we all learn together and it's a very wonderful experience. So I look forward to working with you. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay strong and live your life.